Right, we're going to start now. I'm just going to share my screen, so bear with me. Good, Tony, can you see what I can see? Good.
Yes.
Okay, right, integrated warehouse solutions. You'll have a number of questions around what is an integrated warehouse solution. Some of the questions you will see here, I've introduced is sort of what is an integrated warehouse solution. So we'll talk about that. Why is planning really important? And why, what can warehouse partners provide that no one else can? So what's the differential in us, and why are we talking about this to you today? And what are the benefits to you and your customer? So whatever you're planning, we're very good at doing this. We can do things at last minute, but to be perfectly honest, it's not something that we like to do because there's always compromises. With our product range, you can imagine, we normally get a call sort of 3 weeks before go live. The racking's half up and we asked to label it and put a load of line marking down. But honestly, it'll be everyone's benefit to plan safety and this sort of thing well ahead and early. So it will be to people's benefit in doing that. Okay, so why is planning important to safety and productivity? I've taken this quote from a customer of ours. Safety for us as a business protects our employees, but actually improves productivity. That is actually an end user statement. So I know a lot of our customers from warehouse partners are suppliers of storage equipment into the market. So this came from operations director, which I thought was really interesting because while safety is important, he realized that it actually improved productivity. And this is what we want to really talk about today, okay? So moving on, key elements to consider. Now, we're always getting this. I used to sell pallet racking and it was the most important thing in the world. Obviously, in the new warehouse, when you're going to buy a 300,000 square foot warehouse, you want to make sure you're maximizing the storage capacity of the warehouse. And that's what our racking customers, that's the key thing for them to do. Not only that, they've also got to get a forklift truck in there, an MHE. But what we talk about is something that always gets forgotten. So it's not just a sticky label. It's not just paint on the floor, or a bit of metal, a bit of plastic. There's a bit more to it than that. And with an integrated solution that provides safety, but also maximizes productivity and efficiency, planning well ahead, you're able to achieve that without compromise. And what we want to try and get across today is that let's stop compromising those elements. Let's start planning well ahead. When you're designing the rack layout, design the safety routes, design what is required to protect your people, but also improve efficiency. And we'll talk about that as we go through. So what are the first things we always consider? And as I've said, when you've got a new warehouse, the first thing you're going to think is how much racking can I get in? Because I want to maximize the area. I want to get as many pallet positions or as much stock in there on shelves. I want to get it out and get it in and get it out quickly. So I need a materials handling equipment that's efficient. So I'm going to look at forklift trucks. I'm going to look at pickers. And in addition to that, I need a warehouse management system that obviously helps me find what I want to find and then get it out, because all that brings efficiencies to your customers and the end users at the end of the day. But there are things that we don't always consider. What are the things we don't consider? We don't think about the pedestrians and how they are operating within that environment. We don't think about pick routes as to how the customer is going to, how the pedestrian is going to pick and where the MHE are traveling. So there's always a clash between the two. And obviously that's a safety issue. Pallet marshalling, how is that going to be identified? Pallet marshalling, goods in, goods out. It's not just dropping the pallet. Is it in a marshalling lane? Are you going to have hanging signs with barcodes so you can identify product in and out? Essentially, how do people move safely from one part of the site to the other? Okay. This shows you an example of a pre-planned fit out. So, you've had your architect design it, you've got your builder building it, and now we're going to find out what can we get in there. So quite rightly, we've designed a warehouse with 30,000 pallet positions. It's got a 3-tier mezzanine. We've got sprinkler heads. That's one thing that, sometimes we need because of insurance companies. We've got 18 loading bays, 400 bays of shelving, and there's a fit out that took about 4 months to do. Okay. So the comparison between what is often planned and what's left to the last minute is where we're talking about today. It's always planned ahead, coming up with a solution, working with the operation, and everyone has input into these sort of things. But really, what is it that we can contribute that will help enhance the whole prospect of putting a new warehouse and distribution center together that works efficiently and safely? So within this particular project, by the time we'd finished, we were called in early. I'm saying we were called in probably 12 months before they actually finished the job, and probably 6 months before the build had finished. So we had plenty of opportunity to work with the client and work with other suppliers within the project. So we supplied 2.1 kilometers of internal line marking, 740 linear meters of external. We put zebras and solid work inside. We put 25,000 shelf and pallet locations, 1,500 square meters of safety netting on the mezzanine floor. We put internal and external safety signs and 97 meters of guardrail and arm code barrier to protect and to make the site efficient. So I think you can see there's an awful lot involved within a project like that people unfortunately do leave to the last minute. And we often go to site and we're the only line marking, we're supplying the line marking and nothing else. And there's people climbing over everyone else. And the benefit is here is what we can bring to the party and help customers like yourselves. So what is compromised if you don't talk about this early on, if you don't plan it? Essentially, your safe routes for pedestrians, because you haven't really thought about it to the last minute. What the impact of MHE is on those pedestrians, particularly when picking routes are integrated. So the thought process is often corrupted through just trying to get the whole process done quickly. If you're under stress and pressure to get walkways done with a month to go, you're not going to be able to do it properly. You're going to compromise. So too little or too much is applied without thinking about the impact. So sometimes customers overthink it, put too much in the impacts, or underthink it, and don't put enough in. So the quality of the product's compromised. So you initially go for cost because you're at the end of your capex, you have no budget left, so you go for a cheaper product, which is fine, but it isn't going to help with efficiencies and safety. The pressure is on the implementation team to have to shoehorn in solutions and products. And that's when more than one supplier is involved in the decision making. The process in terms of putting suppliers on site is difficult. Project managing it is more difficult. Ultimately, the employees trust when they're on site. Will it work? Is it safe? And I'm able to do my job efficiently. That's a big loss in terms of what's compromised. So these lead to immediate, probably loss of money, poor pick rates, and low productivity and efficiencies, and the potential for safety elements to be impacted upon. So what do we got to consider? We want to keep pedestrians clear of MHE so that pick rates aren't slowed. We don't want injuries through loss of productivity through sick days. And that includes stress as well as a sickness that can impact on employees within this environment. It's a fast moving, e-commerce has massively increased over the last 12, 15 months. There's a lot of pressure to get product in and out of a warehouse quickly and efficiently. So we've got to consider that in terms of how we're designing a safe, productive layout. We can reduce damage to trucks and racking. We can consider protection that allows employees to pick and operate without fear. So I think fear leads to indecision and errors. Other ideas around what we try and achieve is location system labeling for picking routes and pedestrian MHE. Let's consider a simple thing like snaking or, versus odds and evens, taking away the chance of people or MHE clashing. Think about how people are going to pick within those aisles. It can reduce picking times and distances, helps in reducing inefficiency. So we consider all those sort of things. When putting a labeling system in early, we can consider how the truck movements are going to work within that versus the pedestrian movements as well. And again, with e-commerce increasing, there's a lot more picking going along for small items. Other ideas talk about mezzanine floors, ensure pedestrians are kept safe from MHE. So put in mezzanine floors where you can put goods lifts in and pallet gates using netting to stop any potential falling stock coming out of the mezzanines, use clear access routes on there, goods in and out. I've talked about marshing lanes, but let's regulate stock in and out and use hanging signage for scanning and identifying product. Outside the warehouse is, again, another area that really gets left to the last minute. So do you have clear routes? Are you numbering your dock doors? And do you have efficiencies with parking bays? Are there clear routes, one-way systems, and items such as that? Talking about pallet racking in terms of safety, are we protecting the back of the racks with anti-claps? Are we protecting pedestrians from picking at the rear of these racks? Is there thought gone into that? Shelving. Think about labeling. You know, if you've got a shelf on the right on the floor on the mezzanine, are you going to put a label on that? So someone has to actually bend down. Can you think about where that label could go, maybe further up? So for scanning, it's easier, more efficient, and there's no sort of loss of scans. And sortation systems, picking areas away from the MHE and under the mezzanine floor. And lastly, think about where your office is positioned and what are the routes from the office through the racking and to the pick areas and to the areas where personnel are, because that's a consideration to be thought of. And again, not a lot of time is spent on that. From our experience, I have to add. So in summary, we're going to design, really we want to, there's an incentive to perform in designing efficiency. Designing racking and shelving and MHE and warehouse management system is important, but planning safety to protect is also just as important. It will maximize productivity. And if you do it early and you don't compromise, you will get the product, you will get the efficiencies and the safety and the integrated safety solutions that you require. And just a rough estimate, don't hold me to this, you can if you want, come and find me, but I reckon for about £1.5 million investment in racking, 10% of that could be invested in your integrated safety solution. And I think that's where really 150k to, you know, upfront, you know, put it in your budget, make sure it's allocated, then it's safe and there's no compromises to be had. So thanks for listening on that. I know that's rather quick, but I think we've got some questions, answers. I don't know if Tony, are you back in the room? Are you with us?
Yeah, I'm just going to make one comment, actually, Chris. One of the drawing, the slide with the drawing on, that's a SketchUp drawing that we do in-house. So we have 3 people in our technical team. One of them is highly proficient in CAD. We can take a drawing, we can add to it. We can then demonstrate how it looks in 3D as well back to the end user. Yeah. So I just thought that was worth mentioning, that, you know, yeah, we have CAD, you know, we don't just talk about being able to help with design, we can actually design as well. So just thought that was worth mentioning.
No, it's absolutely right, Tony. And on the back of that, just to reiterate, which I've reiterated many times over the last sort of webinar over the last 5 or 6 months, is that we have a technical team that can support in the advance of, you know, in the planning stage. You know, we have technical guys who can go to site. We have people that can go to site with you and discuss what's required and provide the drawings that are needed there. So there's plenty of opportunity there for support from us. You're not on your own in this, that's for sure. We have a couple of, well, 3 questions actually. I'll just go through these. Do you produce your own barriers? We have a fabricator that does steel barriers for us. We have a sort of relationship with them that spans probably, crikey, as long as I think I've been with the company, about 10, 12 years. But also we're a preferred supplier to Kingspan for their polymer products in the UK. So we offer a very competitive product there against the standard competitors out there. Main benefit in that is that it's quicker to install. So again, I can give details of that if people want to email me. Next question, should we require survey and design solution for our customer? Would there be a cost to this? We don't charge for this. It's just part of what we do. I think the racking industry are used to sort of doing drawings. You know, we trust that what we do gives customers confidence and that it's good enough for them to put their money where their mouth is, to be honest. So yeah, we'll support you with your customers, no charge. What is your resource for managing a project? Excellent question. We have 3 project managers within our business now, delivering labeling, delivering multi-product opportunities. throughout the business to support customers. On the back of that, we have, and Tony will correct me now, I know, we have 3 designers in the office for labeling as well. We have a production team in terms of manufacturing that, in terms of the fact that I'm going to use the word factory because Tony loves the word factory. We have a factory in Warrington. Tony,
smoke and everything. Yeah, smoke coming out the roof.
Yeah.
Very industrial. Yeah,
it's not quite that, but it's almost. We'd like to think it is. So I think that's about it. Tony, is there anything else you want to add before
No, I'm good. Well, I tell you what I would like to. I would like to. This is the 5th and final of the webinars we've done. I believe Mr. Phillips from Adfield, our marketing support partner, is on the call as well. So I want to thank Paul for the work he's done, and definitely Chris and Jordan, the people who've put the effort in. There is a lot of work goes into these things. We value sharing the knowledge we have, but it needs to be said that that we couldn't do this without other people. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Jordan, and thank you, Paul, and your team at Adfield for helping us put these on.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thank you. I agree particularly with Adfield and our team in the office. And thank you, Tony, for your appearance. It's been great seeing you again. Yeah. We missed you last time. Greg did a very good job.
I had a very good standing in Greg. I must admit, he was. I didn't see the webinar. It was great. Okay. Yeah, he did a cracking job, and I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. So. Well, we're going to close now, but just to reiterate, this has been recorded. It will be on the Warehouse Partners website, on the Knowledge Hub. So if you want to go back to that, then please do so. If you want more information, then please contact Tony or myself in particular, and we'll just support you. Whatever you need, we're there to help. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.